Now, I thought about whether or not to do this video, but the overriding reason I decided to was that this issue demands exposure. It demands for something to be done. I already made a video on this topic on August the 16th, less than 3 months ago, and it's titled, "Michael Oliver is compromised. He must be stopped now before his decisions decide who wins the title." And I'm saying this as a football fan. Yes, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm talking today as a fan of a league where I firmly believe that corruption is rife, enabled by Webb and carried out by his foot soldiers, namely Michael Oliver, Chris Kavanagh, Paul Tierney and others. And I'm going to try and prove it to you beyond any reasonable doubt. So this is not a rant based on one or two decisions that went the wrong way at the weekend. There's far more to it than this, so please give it a listen before you come to any conclusions. Now, I'm going to focus most of this video on Michael Oliver, supported by Webb and a few other names in the mix too, because they're all in this together, but the main perpetrator is Michael Oliver. And I want to say it again, just so nobody is under any illusion that this is me moaning about a Liverpool decision. We were thoroughly outplayed the other day. We lost that game fair and square to a far better team, and I held my hands up after that game and said so. But yeah, even being comprehensively outplayed, two major decisions went only the one way in favour of Manchester City, and this is what this video is all about. First, the non-penalty that was not awarded on the pitch until Michael Oliver got involved and said it should be given, and Chris Kavanagh overturned his original decision and gave it. And then when that didn't work because the penalty was missed, again, Oliver, not the ref, was the one who disallowed Virgil van Dijk's goal. Once again, backed up by Chris Kavanagh. Now, this is a pattern of behaviour that has been playing out in front of us in plain view ever since Michael Oliver was bankrolled by Man City's ownership to referee games in the Middle East. And it's affecting all of us, all clubs not named Manchester City. And your club, whatever it is, whoever you support in the Premier League, are at risk of this. But before I do move on to the other clubs and all the examples I'm going to give, I just want to recall that Michael Oliver so far this season, first of all, against Bournemouth in the opening game of the season, he doesn't send off the Bournemouth player for a clear and blatant handball against Liverpool after 12 minutes. And the official version was that it wasn't a handball offence, and even if it was too far away from goal to be a goal scoring opportunity. Both of them utter nonsense. The fella should have been sent off. Everybody knows it. Oliver didn't do it. In the game against Man United, Alexis McAllister got clattered, goes down with a head injury. Oliver sees it, plays on, Man United score, and then you had the two incidents at the weekend. So that's 4 times already. We're only 11 games into the season. And I said back in my August video that they do it because they can get away with it, and because they continue to get away with it unchallenged and unabated. Nobody is doing enough to stop them. And that includes fans of teams who it's happening to. I'll let you know a few of the things that were said to me by Liverpool fans at the end of that game. One said, "Get over it, we were shit." Another said, "Stop acting like fans of other clubs." Statements which just show you they can get away with this, and even fans of teams on the receiving end of these corrupt decisions are willing to accept them or overlook them. The video I did in August saying Oliver must be stopped was made immediately after we won the game against Bournemouth. So this is not about whether we win a game or lose a game, or play well and deserve to win, or play poorly and deserve to lose. It's about fairness. It's about the right decisions. It's about calling out corruption. If you are a fan of every other team in the Premier League, then this is affecting you. As an example, Arsenal have been screwed over by Michael Oliver just as much, if not more, than Liverpool. Why? because along with Liverpool, only one other team over the last few seasons has been a genuine threat to Manchester City. Those two teams are Liverpool and Arsenal. Those two teams have been on the wrong end of a host of Michael Oliver incorrect, corrupt decisions, while Michael Oliver has given decision after decision to Manchester City. So now, onto the examples and what this video is really all about. To put this all into perspective, you've got to go back to 2015 to 2017. Howard Webb, now the current PGMOL boss and serial Michael Oliver protector, was from 2015 to 2017 the head of referees in Saudi Arabia. He took over as head of the PGMOL in August 2022, and it has been an utter shit show ever since. And who was it who sanctioned the idea of Premier League referees going over to referee in Saudi and UAE pro leagues for huge amounts of money? Yep, Howard Webb. And he did this within 6 months into his job as head of the PGMOL. It had never been sanctioned before. This meant that in April 2023, Michael Oliver, Darren England and Dan Cook were paid a huge sum of money to go over on their well-played jollies and go and referee over in Saudi and UAE. On April the 18th, 2023, Michael Oliver refereed a match in the Saudi Pro League. In September 2023, he refereed a game in the UAE Pro League. Sheikh Mansour, the Vice President and Deputy Prime Minister of the UAE, owns Manchester City. The UAE's Pro League main sponsor is the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, whose board members include Manchester City chairman Khaldoon Al Mubarak. So the links, the ties, the money, the cooperation between Howard Webb, Michael Oliver and the Man City owners is there for all to see. That's not conspiracy theory stuff. These links, these ties between them all are factual and in the public record. And this is the very definition of conflict of interest. City Football Group Limited, the owner of Manchester City, is 81% owned by Abu Dhabi United Group, which is headed by Sheikh Mansour. Abu Dhabi is, of course, in the UAE. Oh, by the way, did you also know that the City Football Group Limited owners of Manchester City also own Girona in Spain, Estac Troyes in France, Palermo in Italy, and Lommel SK in Belgium? Now remember, Crystal Palace were relegated to the Europa Conference League for breaching the multi-club ownership rule. Now, Dan Cook and Darren England were also part of this refereeing entourage over in Saudi and the UAE. And it was those two when they disallowed a perfectly good onside goal just 2 days after arriving back from the UAE. In September 2023, also right after the UAE trip, Nathan Ake's goal for Man City was allowed when an offside City player, Akanji, jumped out of the way of the ball when he was in direct line of view of the goalkeeper. The ball went in and referee Michael Oliver allowed the goal. The same Michael Oliver who just disallowed Van Dijk's goal when Robbo, not in the line of sight of the keeper, was adjudged to be offside. For the Ake Akanji incident, for whatever reason, after Michael Oliver gave the goal, it didn't even go to VAR. Again in September 2023, Man City versus Arsenal, Kovacic was left on the pitch by Oliver after a series of yellow and red card offences because, according to Howard Webb, once again protecting Oliver, came out and admitted there were errors, but that Michael Oliver didn't want to ruin the game as a spectacle. Remember that for one of the upcoming points. In October 2023, Bernardo Silva fell over in the box after the slightest touch by Rasmus Højlund, and the referee played on. But VAR was Michael Oliver, and he advised the referee that it was a penalty to come and have a look, and he gave it. He gave Manchester City the chance to take a 1-0 lead, which they did, and Man United fans remain outraged by that decision to this day. So, Man United fans, this Michael Oliver pro-Man City corruption is impacting you too. This is not just about Liverpool and Arsenal, because if Oliver can screw you over to help Man City, he will. He's shown that he will. In September 2024, Michael Oliver yellow carded and thus sent off for a second bookable offence Trossard for kicking the ball away. Jeremy Doku had kicked the ball away 6 to 7 yards earlier in that same game, and that one was ignored by Michael Oliver. And yet the excuse used by Webb 1 year before, that he didn't want to ruin the spectacle, so he left Kovacic on, well, for the most innocuous yellow card, he did spoil the spectacle and sent Trossard off for kicking the ball away 2 yards. Because both decisions helped Man City. In April 2024, Chelsea versus Man City, Jack Grealish is in the wall and the ball is fired at him, the wall splits, he goes like that, it hits him in the arm, no penalty. It was blatant and once again ignored by Michael Oliver. Man City went on to win that game 1-0. In March 2024, Doku kung fu kicked Alexis McAllister in the chest. No penalty. The score was 1-1 and this was just about the last kick of the game. It was in March of 2024. Man City won the title from Liverpool by 2 points. So that decision, which deprived Liverpool of 2 more points and Man City 1 less point if that penalty had been given and scored, won Manchester City the league. So Michael Oliver and that one decision was complicit in handing the league title to Manchester City. So how can you possibly say to me, get over it, when these blatantly corrupt decisions keep happening and can have such an impact? In January 2025, Arsenal were on the end of it again when Oliver sent off Lewis Skelly with quite possibly the worst, most universally condemned red card of all time. It was such an embarrassment. And once again, Howard Webb had to come out and protect him. He gave him 2 weeks off for that one. And then as a reward, he came back and he was given the last ever Merseyside derby at Goodison. And once again, it was a catalogue of anti-Liverpool shitshow decisions in that game as well. There are other examples too. In February 2022, Oliver gave Martinelli 2 yellow cards 5 seconds apart. One, because he nudged the throw-in taker, and then secondly, as he chased the player who received the ball, he fouled him, and Oliver gave an unprecedented red card. For 2 yellow card offences, I'm not even sure either one was a yellow card within the space of 5 seconds. As I say, an unprecedented sending off, but even that doesn't matter to Oliver because there are no consequences. In March 2022, Rodri handled the ball in the final seconds of a game against Everton. Everton at the time were in major danger of relegation, and this was as clear a handball as it is possible to see. It wasn't given by referee Paul Tierney, it went to VAR, who also decided it wasn't a penalty. The VAR that day was Chris Kavanagh, the same person who was in league with Michael Oliver in the Liverpool-Man City game just a few days ago. And in that season too, and remember, this was in the final stretch of the league season, City won the league by 1 point. That game against Everton, 1-0 to City at the time, meant that City would have lost 2 points if the penalty was awarded and converted, and everything else being equal, Liverpool would have won the league by 1 point. Don't tell me this doesn't matter. Everton, for their part, they got themselves out of trouble just, but that 1 extra point that they lost could have seen them relegated. It was really touch and go, but they didn't care. In October 2020, Jordan Pickford's season-ending assault on Virgil van Dijk, Michael Oliver was the ref, and not even a free kick was given. Oh, he apologised after, said he got it wrong. But once again, nothing happened. So what about Michael Oliver's record of red cards in games that he's reffed involving Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City? In all the games that he's refereed those three teams, he's given Liverpool 4 red cards, he's given Arsenal 8 red cards, and he's given Man City 0 red cards. Now, I researched this a bit more to make sure that I was looking at this in a balanced way. The number of fouls conceded by each of the 3 teams across all of those games is essentially the same. The amount of games he's refereed of Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool is essentially the same, give or take a couple of games here and there. So if the offences are the same and the amount of games you've refereed for each team is around the same, how can it be that for one of the teams he's sent off none, and other of the teams he's sent off 8? I mean, that's like almost statistically impossible. So the anti-Liverpool, anti-Arsenal, anti-Man United, anti-Chelsea, anti-your team, unless you're a Manchester City fan, Michael Oliver bias is there for all to see. But only if you want to see it. And this should appall every football fan in the country. Every fan of any Premier League team should be outraged by this. Because Oliver will make decisions that favour only one team, and that means he will screw over your team no matter who you support, if by doing so he helps Manchester City. So I decided, no, I'm not willing to let this die, to be overlooked, and for Howard Webb and the PGMOL and Michael Oliver to keep getting away with it while too many people stay silent. And you shouldn't let them get away with it either. We should all be in this together and demand an inquiry, demand an independent review of Webb, the PGMOL, Oliver, Kavanagh, Tierney, England, Cook and anyone else maybe potentially complicit in all of this, because these people are ruining our game. They are deciding the outcome of football matches, and we have a duty of care as supporters of whatever club to stop them. And I hope more voices rise up and somehow we can take this situation and turn it into some kind of meaningful inquiry and stop this rot in the PGMOL. Thanks for listening. You'll never walk alone. Cheers. Ta-ra.